من المعهد الطب التقني بغداد نرحب بكم وبركتكل جديد، كونوا معنا.
غضبان مفتن مساعد رئيس مدربين تقنيين. Our lecture today is about the shoulder girdle. The shoulder girdle consists of two bones, the scapula and the clavicle. The scapula يعني لوح الكتف and the clavicle يعني عظم الترقوة. The scapula is a flat triangular large bone present on the posterior lateral aspect of the chest. The medial border of scapula is present about 5 centimeters from the vertebral column. The scapula has three borders, the medial borders and the lateral borders and the upper borders. This is the borders of scapula. The scapula is extended from the second to seventh ribs, ribs. The scapula has three angles: the inferior angles, the lateral angles, and the inferior angles. And it has two surfaces. This surface of scapula, this is the anterior surfaces of scapula, and this is the posterior surfaces of scapula. The anterior surfaces of scapula lies behind the ribs. It attached directly to the ribs, like in the skeleton. The posterior surfaces of scapula pointed forward. The posterior surfaces of scapula has a prominent projection called the spine of scapula. This is the spine of scapula. This spine extended to form the acromion process. And this is the coracoid process. There is infraspinous fossa. This is the infraspinous fossa and supraspinous fossa. The coronoid process is articulated with the clavicle bone to form acromioclavicular joint. Also, there is important gavity in the scapula. This is the gavity. We can call it the glenoid gavity. The glenoid gavity articulated with the head of a humerus to form the shoulder joint. The shoulder joint is ball and socket joint. So, when the shoulder is ball and socket joint, there is also free movement, flexion, abduction, and circumduction. Okay. Another part of the shoulder girdle is the clavicle. The clavicle is two bones lines into right and left of the body in the upper part, superior to the first ribs, and it has an S shape. The clavicle bone, the lateral third of the clavicle bone, present about 1/3, and it's concave posteriorly like this, and the 2/3 of the medial part of the clavicle is concave anteriorly. The clavicle bone has two ends. The sternal end is flat, so it's articulated with the sternum bone. This is the sternum bone, and the lateral end, it's rounded, so it's articulated with the acromion process of the scapula. So, in shoulder girdle, we have three important joints: the sternoclavicular joint, this one, the acromioclavicular joint, this point, and the shoulder joint. The sternoclavicular joint and the acromioclavicular joint is a gliding joint. You know what gliding? Gliding means the joint, the two parts of the bones is sliding for each other. flat bones sliding for each other. And the ball socket, another type of the joint, there is socket and there is ball. So in ball and socket joint, the movement is free. The gliding joint is attached with a ligament, so it's control the movement in sternoclavicular joint and acromioclavicular joint. Who can repeat after me about the scapula? Yes?
In the body is two bones very important.
Yes.
The scapula and the clavicle.
This is the component of what? Of shoulder girdle, yes.
The scapula and the clavicle.
Yes.
The scapula, it is a large triangular, it is a flat bone and
Yes.
triangular. It is large in the body.
Where is lie?
It is lies on the posterior lateral of the
Aspect of the chest, very good.
It is have three border.
Yes.
Medial border.
The medial border.
Lateral border.
Yes.
And superior border.
Yes.
And
The medial border, how?
Medial
distance?
border lies about 5
Centimeters from the
vertebral column.
Yes.
And have the three angles.
Yes.
Posterior, superior angle.
Superior
angle. Inferior angle lateral angle.
Yes.
And has two surface. Anterior surface
Yeah.
posterior surface. The interior surface.
Sorry, this is the interior surface.
Sorry.
Yes.
The interior surface and the posterior
Facing
surface.
what? The ribs.
Behind
Oh,
the
present
lips.
behind the lips. Yes.
Posterior surface, it is facing backward.
Very good. Where is the guillotine scapula?
Gavety, it is very important.
What's their name?
Venous
Its name?
gavety.
Yes.
It is,
Articulated
it
with?
is articulated with the humerus bone
To form
the shoulder joint.
Thank you very much. Who can repeat after me about the clavicle bone? Yes?
Clavicle bone, there are two bones, left and right bones.
Yes.
Left and right.
Yes.
Present in the upper part of the
Present
chest.
horizontally.
Horizontal position.
مثل ما تشوفوه. Horizontal. Yes.
At the root of the neck.
Yes.
There are two parts.
Superior to one what?
ribs.
Yes.
One ribs.
فوق الربس الأول. Yes.
And there are two parts, the medial part and the lateral part.
Yes.
Medial part represents 1/3 of the body. Lateral part represents
لا. The lateral part is present about
1/3 of the body.
Very good.
The medial part represents 2/3 of the body.
Yes. The lateral part, which concave, posteriorly or anteriorly?
Posterior.
Oh, okay. The medial part concave
Anterior.
anteriorly.
There
Yes.
are three important joints in the shoulder girdle.
Yes.
Sternoclavicular joint.
This is point. Sternoclavicular joint. Yes.
Acromioclavicular joint.
Yes.
And the shoulder joint.
And the shoulder joint. The sternoclavicular joint and the acromioclavicular joint. Which type of joint?
Gliding joint.
Okay. About the processes of scapula, the acromion or coracoid process articulated with the clavicle.
Coracoid process.
No, acromion process articulated with the clavicle. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Now, how can we know about this bone is right or left? We can diagnose this point about right or left. From its shape, we talk the lateral third is concave posteriorly. This is concave posteriorly. And the medial part is concave anteriorly. And we talk that there is two ends. The sternal ends is flat, so I know this is the sternal ends. And the lateral ends is round, which articulated with the acromion process. There is two projection or knots in the clavicle bone. The coronal process and the tubercle of the ribs. This is flat on the ribs. So we can put this is in the right position. So this is the left clavicle. This is the flat end which articulated with the sternum. This is the round end which articulated with the acromion. And this is the anterior curve الميديال والposterior curve. So this clavicle is left one and this the right one. About scapula, how we know the right from the left one? Like this. The glenoid gate and two processes of scapula pointed in the lateral side. So this is the right scapula, and we say that the scapula has two faces. The anterior the anterior surfaces pointed behind the ribs. With posterior surfaces, there is important projection is the scapula, is the spine of scapula. So this is what, right or left? Right scapula, right. Very good.